Oh gosh. Like I said, my interests are very broad, and I worked in deep water environments and shallow water environments as well. And still, I'm working on the Delta and I'm still working on the Wax Lake and Chaffly system, and working on some offshore things. I'm working on paper right now from the shoals offshore of central Louisiana. And I don't know. Do you mean what I think is my greatest accomplishment scientifically, or?
Sure.
I don't know. That's not for me to judge. That's for other people to judge. But I'll tell you, I had so many fun projects that I worked on. Actually, Bob Carney got me involved in this. I was actually working on offshore. This is in deep water with some of the companies that do high-resolution seismic and side scan work, trying to figure out what the seafloor is like in preparation for laying a pipeline or putting out a production platform. So I worked with them as a consultant, and we were seeing all these strange things on the seafloor that we didn't expect to be there, and things that looked like reefs. And I was always interested in carbonates anyway, and so I got really interested in this. And they would send me samples, and we found out that these samples were isotopically light. That means that they had light carbon associated with them, which meant that probably methane was involved in the formation of these rocks. And Bob Carney said, well, you ought to get, there's some submarines available, you ought to, start that. So in 1988, I got my first contract to use submersible to look at some of these things. And so I spent about over 20 years doing that almost every year. And we used a variety of submarines. Alvin, the famous Alvin submersible that found the Titanic, and we used the Johnson Sea Link and several others. And Bob was involved in a lot of that work, doing biological things. And that was, I would say that was as much fun as anything in terms of just research. It was just, there was a new discovery every time you went down. We are discovery junkies, people who do science, and there's nothing more exhilarating for us than to see something or to do something that no one else has done, or no one else has seen, or no one else has studied. And practically every time you went out in one of those cruises, you were looking at things that no human being had ever looked at before, and perhaps never even studied. So we were on the frontiers of a lot of that deep water natural oil and gas seep work, and it was not only fun, but I think it was all in all very good work. The biologists identified new organisms that had never been identified before, and the geologists, we were trying to look at the impact of oil and gas seepage, natural oil and gas seepage, on the geology of the seafloor. So it changed the geology of the seafloor. And the Gulf of Mexico is just one of the most dynamic places on Earth in terms of oil and gas seepage, because of the interaction between a lot of sediment coming into the system through the Mississippi River and other big rivers that have built the northern rim of the Gulf, and then the movement of salt that this sediment was deposited on, and then the salt, like toothpaste, created salt domes and all kinds of other geometries that were related. Then we started looking at the geometry of the salt, and the salt then was related to where the seeps occurred, and you could then, after a while, predict where the seeps were going to be and what you could see. So that was fun work, because there was a discovery every hour you were down there, and and that was exhilarating for anybody who was on board. So we had a lot of fun doing that.